administration director. So I'm head of the central administration.
Okay.
I'm just my boss is the mayor. So
Yes.
I'm the head of the central administration.
And then you report to the city mayor.
Yes.
Yes. Originally, I thought I might be meeting with her, but I'm very, very grateful that you're here to talk to me. I'm sure she's very busy.
Yeah, she is. We have had some difficulties with the crime in this city. Her schedules have changed twice during the weekend. So
because she's so
I
busy.
don't know where she is
No,
right
of course.
now, but I think she's with the officials who try to find new ways to prevent the crimes that has been
happening
reported.
here in Oulu. Yeah, absolutely. And talking about those crimes here in Oulu, could you help our audience, people, understand the sorts of crimes that have been happening here in Oulu?
Well, I don't know the details. Actually, I don't know very much about the crimes that has happened. The police has the details, of course, and I have to just stick to the information I have got from the media.
Yes.
So that's the state of my knowledge.
Yeah, and what information do you have?
Well, there are several cases of sexual crimes that are in investigation right now. There are, I think, 16 suspects now, and they have committed, or it's
alleged that they have committed.
Yes, alleged that they have committed serious crimes. And the victims, they are underage, even children, varying from 12, 15, perhaps even
a little bit younger.
12 to 15 or something like that.
And 16 cases. I agree with you. I've read the same statistics. 16 cases.
Not 16 cases, but
16 men.
16 men. Perhaps I suppose it's 9 cases and 16 men.
9 cases of sexual assault, or various classifications of sexual assault, which depends from rape to other sexual offences against, and 16 men that have been arrested or charged with those offences.
Yes, and at least 2 of them are, even of those men, are underage, under 18 years. But that's, I don't know exactly if there are more than these 2.
Yes.
Our law is very strict, and when the alleged victims, they are so young, so the crime labels, they are very, very serious.
Absolutely, and this is an ongoing investigation, so clearly there is a lot of protection around the case and the matter, so I'm not trying to go there. I'm looking at this more from the City Hall response to what's going on, and I'm not trying to in any way talk about the details of the case, as I appreciate there'll be reporting restrictions. But in terms of 16 men in Oulu, could you help me understand those gentlemen? Most of them are migrants, is my understanding.
Well, I suppose there are different kinds of migrants. That's the public information or public knowledge that some of them perhaps have come here to seek for asylum. Asylum. And there are some differences where their states are. So I don't know
the specific countries that they come from, and also those countries sometimes change, I think.
Yes.
But they have come here to Oulu to seek asylum, typically.
Yes.
In the main, perhaps we can say that.
They are the sorts of refugees anyway. I don't know their status.
And in terms of City Hall and the mayor that you represent or work for, I think the view very much before in Oulu was that taking more refugees, asylum seekers, was a good idea. I think Finland as a whole was pushing to take more refugees. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds fair. Finland is trying to fulfill the obligations that we have towards the international community, and Oulu is one of the municipalities that try to take care of this whole
The migrant,
share
the migrant quota system.
Yeah, yes.
And the idea is that a certain allocation, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but there's a certain allocation of migrants and migrant quota, and you usually, I believe, receive €10,000 per head per migrant that any country will agree to take of that quota.
Well, we have this quota, and we try to perform as we have agreed with the state.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you spoke a moment ago about your obligation to the international community to help share the migrants. I suppose, and I know that it's partly because I'm a mum. I have a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old. As a mum, let's just say I was a Finnish mum here in Oulu, I would want to say to you, representing the office that you represent, but what about my daughter? What about your obligation to my daughter, my Finnish daughter? Why do you care so much about your international obligation and not about my child? Do you see that emotionally that would be where I would be if I was a mum here?
Yeah, I understand perfectly that as a mom you have the obligation and you worry for your children.
Yes. Yeah, especially in the UK,
yes,
as you can imagine.
I'm a dad. I have a daughter, and I'm always worried about her or worried for her. Of course, and I don't see how it's in a contradiction with the obligation to the international community. We have obligation for everybody. I think this Christian upbringing and the morale, the ethics, it's based on the fact that we are responsible for each other. Not only our children, but I'm responsible for your children and the other children in the world. So I don't see the point here. Of course, if we know that there are something that causes danger to our children, we have to find the security for them and be ready to find a solution.
I suppose the point here, I understand, and I hear you, and I hear how you're saying from your perspective the Christian thing is that you have a responsibility to everyone's children, but I suppose you say I don't see the point here. The point here is that in your town, in your city, the 5th largest city in Finland, which incidentally today at the airport I heard called the rape capital of Finland. That's your city, I heard called that. I'm just giving you an anecdotal bit of evidence. You said you don't see the point. I suppose the point is that 10-year-old Finnish children, 10 to 12-year-old Finnish children here in Oulu are being gang raped by migrants, and that is a conflict with an idea that you have an obligation to everyone's children. Surely you have an obligation to Finnish children first, or is that unfair?
But this is the first time ever I heard about a gang rape in Oulu. I never heard anything like that.
Yeah.
The police doesn't report anything like gang rape. I don't believe before I hear it from the official report that it's something like true. That has happened.
Okay. You still don't believe it yet?
I don't believe it
until you've seen it written. Until you've seen the report.
I suppose this is you're not the source for me.
Absolutely not.
No.
Agreed.
No.
We agree.
So you can tell me anything, and I don't have to believe it.
Understood. But sexual assault of a minor under the age of 12 by a group of men. Are we agreed that that has happened in Oulu?
I don't know anything like that happened. I know that there are several cases, but I don't know about the facts. How it has happened, I don't know.
You don't know. Why don't you know? Do you choose not to know, or is it you?
Well, it's not available. This knowledge is not available for me now. It's the police, and they have their own instructions, what they can tell about the incidents that have happened. I don't know what has happened.
Okay, you don't know what's happened.
No.
I understand your point. So the Prime Minister yesterday was quoted as saying, well, given the statistics, so I'm guessing he knows what's happened, or he has a source that he trusts. It's not me, we agree. The Prime Minister has said that within the backdrop of the wider setting that child molestation in Finland is about 5 children a day, the numbers aren't that big. The numbers aren't that surprising here in Oulu. That seems to be a curious way of addressing a grooming gang issue in your city. Do you agree with what the Prime Minister said, that the numbers aren't that significant?
Well, they are too big. These numbers, 5, and then this is the number the police has got. So all the incidents that happen are not reported to the police. So,
of course.
So the real numbers are even bigger, of course. I'm sure, and perhaps very much bigger. This 5, it's very big. According to these statistics, it's 20%, perhaps 25% of these incidents happen to the underage or children. When we talk about this sexual crimes, well, it's the persons who are the criminals. They are immigrants, or they have some other background than a thing.
Yes.
But these 4, we have had these 4 all the time here. It's in our culture also. We can't say that this one here, one of the 5, is the only problem.
No.
We have the problem with our own tradition, our own culture
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And this is
Sorry, I'm just trying to get a chart. It's a
well,
problem
I
inside
don't find the right words here, but it's very it's horrible situation in Finland that we have this kind of situation. Of course, if the immigrants that come here even make it worse for us.
Yes.
So it's not a good situation.
No, but it's an argument I hear often from your side.
But the best thing here is that we talk about this 1/5, and we try to talk about also these 4/5.
Yes, I understand.
So we can have our children more secure after this discussion.
I hear what you're saying, which is that if you look at child sexual assault cases, this will be carried out by people who are non-Fin, and 4 out of 5 will be carried out by people who are Finnish.
Yes.
Let us remember, though, that in Oulu, 200,000 people live here. An estimated 20,000 are migrants. And when you look, and this is the reason I was getting my phone, statistically, Afghanistanis, Iraqis, and Syrians are massively statistically overrepresented in this area. So per 10,000 people, 138.12 are Afghanistani abusers, sexual assault, whereas in Finland the figure is only 3. So the propensity, I can share that with you obviously, but the propensity for Afghanis, Iraqis and Syrians, and actually Somalians to attack your young Finnish children, they're massively statistically overrepresented when you look at the actual numbers. So it's not actually 5, is it? Because for every 1 gentleman that comes here from overseas, their probability of attacking a Finnish child is much greater. Would we agree on that?
I don't know about this.
You don't know about that?
This.
Okay. Tell me about, let's move on. Tell me about what your mayor, City Hall, your office, are doing about the problem. Now you know you've got a grooming gang problem. I've heard a lot of words about crisis centre, crisis reporting. Let's all see what we can do about it. Can you tell me some actions that are being taken against the grooming gangs that have made your city the rape capital of Finland?
I don't know anything about this grooming gang, so I don't know whether this question is right here.
Mm-hmm. You don't know anything? Okay, let's call them, what would be words? 16 cases of sexual assault of minors. Let's use that phrase because you prefer it. What is being done about the 16 cases of sexual assault of minors that are known about? What actions are happening here?
The police is of course investigating these 16 cases or 9 cases where these 16 are
alleged to have been involved.
Yes, yes. And police is of course trying to investigate if there still exist other cases that we don't know yet.
Yes.
Now they probably they don't know any other cases like this right now, but